Can Sovereignty lose the Travers? Let's discuss. Hi, everyone. Matthew DeSantis here with NYRA Bets, along with my colleague Kaylie Shapiro, and we are here to talk about the Travers. It is Travers week. Kaylie, how excited are you on a scale of 1 to 10?
Legit an 11. I already got my Travers glasses yesterday from the NYRA gift shop. You have to get them before they sell out. They sell out quick every year. And I think Sovereignty's name should be on here already.
All right. Well, listen, we're going to get into that question. But before we do, want to remind you to press that like button and subscribe on NYRA Bets YouTube today. Subscribing is entirely free of cost. Just notifies you when new videos drop on the channel, whether those are race previews, full card analyses, handicapping and betting tutorials, and so much more. Well, that is indeed the question, is should we already have the engraving done? Should we already have the cup made that says Sovereignty winning 2025? It is a 5-horse field for the 2025 DraftKings Travers, Magnitude, Bracket Buster, Strategic Focus, the aforementioned Sovereignty, and McAfee. He appears to be an overwhelming favorite. David Aragona has made him the 2-5 favorite. Kaylie, what say you? Can this horse, who has been so dominant as a 3-year-old among his own crop, be beaten in the Travers on Saturday?
I'm going to play it a little bit cool here because I'm not trying to jinx the horse whatsoever. Yeah. We all know how I feel about this horse, but just from a logic standpoint, I don't believe that there's a way that this horse gets beat in the Travers. I mean, anything could happen. It's horse racing, but just based on the way the horse has been working, the fact that we know that they've been managing him very meticulously up to this point. Yeah. Bill Mott has circled the Travers, in the beginning of this horse's career, as well as the Classic. So I think that they've saved the best for these 2 last races of the season for him.
You bring up a great point. Because in many ways, this is the race that led to them skipping the Preakness. This is actually the race that, if everybody wants to complain about, well, we didn't have a Triple Crown, the Travers is the reason. Because Mott made it very clear after the Derby, the goal was later in the year, Jim Dandy, Travers, Breeders' Cup Classic. And we weren't going to try to run the horse back 3 times in 5 weeks. In the Triple Crown, we were going to give this horse a little time because we were ultimately focused on later in the year. And this is the later in the year. So to your point, as much as people can circle Triple Crown races on the calendar, this was a race they had circled clearly before the Kentucky Derby even. That the Travers was the goal.
Absolutely. I mean, we all know who owns Sovereignty. Godolphin owns him. They're making a stallion. We know this horse is going to stand at Darley when he's done racing. And they know how to create stallions. And besides Godolphin and their involvement, Bill Mott is one to very much meticulously plan a horse's spot.
Yeah.
And he has done so with this horse every which way of his 3-year-old campaign. And the horse, I think we might see something special on Travers Day. I've been saying it all summer. Yeah. We knew the Jim Dandy that he was going to go out there and he was going to win easily at 70-75%, which I think you could agree with.
Yeah.
And now here in the Travers, I mean, this is the big show. Let's hope that, they let the horse run a little bit and show everyone who he is.
Yeah, I think, listen, he's going to be obviously a very heavy favorite. He's a free square on a lot of late pick 5 tickets, I'm sure, in that really amazing sequence of 5 consecutive grade 1 races that we have on Saturday at Saratoga, the Ballerina, the Forego, the H. Allen Jerkins, so many good races. But when we talk about this one, can Sovereignty lose? It's funny because last year, one of the first videos you actually did with me was, can Torpedo Anna win the Travers?
That was our first video.
It was. And can Torpedo Anna win? And she nearly did. She absolutely could. We made that argument. Yeah, she could win. Can Sovereignty lose? Can lose. He absolutely can lose. Now,
anything can happen in horse racing.
Anything can happen in horse racing. Anything can happen at Saratoga. We've seen that over the years. Secretariat, American Pharaoh, listen, Keen Ice winning this race over Pharaoh. All sorts of things can happen. All right. How does he lose this race? I think that's the more compelling question is, can he lose? Sure. Anything can happen. Will he lose and how does he lose? I think that's the more, from a handicapping standpoint, the more important question. I think most of those answers start with Magnitude because he represents maybe a slightly different type of horse than what Sovereignty has run up against in the past, where Sovereignty's main competition in Baeza and Journalism shared very similar running styles to Sovereignty in that they both came from off the pace. Magnitude represents a different challenge in terms of a horse that is clearly a front-end speed horse that he is going to have to track down. Now, you and I think, have very similar opinions on Magnitude, but the bottom line is the last 2 times this horse has been on the track, he ran a 108 and a 105 Beyer speed figure. And the last 2 times Sovereignty was on the track, he ran a 109 and a 104. So the on the Beyers, just looking at the numbers, not much of a difference between these two. But I want to give you a little bit of time to talk about Magnitude and kind of your thoughts on whether or not he can run away with this thing up front, maybe.
Well, I completely agree with you. If you're looking at just the Beyers, they're the same. But no one in horse racing ever just looks at the Beyers. Otherwise, I mean, what are you going to do? Every single race, just pick the horse with the best speed figures. It's a lot more than that. Like, for example, he got that 105 last time out in a listed stakes at Prairie Meadows against a field that is not even a fraction of any of the horses in this race whatsoever. Strategic Focus is better than all of the horses that this horse has beat. I would even argue that, you know, a couple of others in here. McAfee even maybe that, you know, that horse has been running in Just Graded Stakes Company mostly his entire career. So if you think about it, his big wins come in a grade 2 in the Risen Star. You know, he beat Chunk of Gold and Built that day. Chunk of Gold is probably the best horse that Magnitude has beat, in my opinion. And when you take that into consideration, I mean, he's stepping up. This is a big, big step up for Magnitude against grade 1 company in the Travers, getting a 1.25 miles. And I can already see the discussions all week are going to be, well, what if Magnitude gets loose up on the front end? What if he gets loose? I know I was super excited to see the presence of Bracket Buster, who's showing up here in this race, because Bracket Buster, in my opinion, will not let Magnitude get loose. That's how I feel. This horse has a decent amount of speed. He's run some pretty fast fractions, set them himself, or has sat close to some hot paces that are comparable to those in which Magnitude ran. So in my opinion, I don't think Magnitude's going to be up alone on the front end. And even if he is, let's talk about what makes Sovereignty so special at the end of the day. It's not just that he's so talented and he won these big races. He showed us a complete different dimension in the Jim Dandy specifically. We saw it a little bit in the Belmont when he sat closer that day than we saw in the Derby. After the Derby, everyone was like, oh, well, you know, he's an amazing closer. And he got that fast pace to run into, which really helped him out. What do you think Belmont thought when he saw the field for the Belmont and the Jim Dandy? Oh, I think this horse might have the ability to sit a little bit closer. There's not a lot of speed in this race. He's going to have to not leave himself with so much to do. And he did just that. He showed us a complete new dimension. Jim Dandy, that was a practice for this. Belmont, that 109. I think that it's a very fair chance that he's going to run a 109 or higher in the Travers. You'd imagine he could freak.
I mean, he could. And I think that it's one of those things. The other thing to point out is not only the level of competition, obviously, that Magnitude is run against, which is significantly inferior to what, to your point, I would even say insignificant compared to what Bracket Buster has been running against too. Insignificant compared to what Strategic Focus has maybe even faced, as no doubt about McAfee, who's run up against nice horses throughout his career. So it's not just the quality of competition. It's also the fact that the Risen Star came in 1 1/8 when he got loose in the lead, and Prairie Meadows, they're going 1 16. The last 2 times, the last 3 times Sovereignty has run 1 1/4 miles, 1 1/4 miles, 1 1/8. This horse knows how to get the distance, clearly likes going the 1 1/4 miles, which is a big question mark for literally everyone else in this field.
Yes, Sovereignty is better at 1 1/4 miles than he is at 1 1/8
miles. 100%.
And Baeza is better at 1 1/8 miles than anything else, in my opinion. That horse ran a huge race in the Jim Dandy, Baeza. And if you think about it, I think a nice question for everyone to ask themselves throughout this week is, how do you think Magnitude would stack up against Baeza? I think Baeza is a way better horse than Magnitude.
I would agree.
Based on what we've seen. Just from what we know right now, I think Baeza is a way better horse Baeza ran a really good race, and Sovereignty was able to track him down in the Jim Dandy. Not only that, Sovereignty let Baeza pass him.
Yeah.
And then he just sat back, and then he went after him again.
Yeah.
That to me was special.
Yeah.
That horse is tactical.
Mm-hmm.
He can sit as close to the pace as they want him. Obviously, they're not going to want him sitting up close to a fast pace.
Yeah.
But I don't think that we're going to get a fast pace. If you think about it, Magnitude is going to have to work out some trip for himself to get the 1.25 miles for a first time. I don't think he's going to fly.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I think an actual example of this, we just saw this past weekend in the Alabama with a horse like Lacara in the Alabama, nursing those early fractions, 24-4, 49-1. 113 and change, going really slow to make sure we can get that 1.25 miles. And ultimately, Glunder, stablemate, did. Nitrogen, who sat just off the pace. I do think one of the other interesting horses to mention, and when we talk about can Sovereignty lose, yes, a lot of discussions around Magnitude. I'm not personally a huge fan of this horse. I like to see Steve Asmussen horses come in with some bullets and then maintenance work. What do we see with him? A lot of try to build that foundation, a lot of slow 5 furlong works, which is not a bad strategy. But ultimately, I think Asmussen horses fire best when they are really cranked up. And I don't know if he's cranked up, but I think they're so focused on fitness that they're maybe not focused as much on what really makes his horses good. Now, the horse that I actually think is interesting is Strategic Focus.
100%.
This is a horse that, from a pedigree standpoint, full sibling to headline numbers, who won a stakes race at 1 1/8 miles, sired by Gun Runner out of a Curlin mare. The pedigree would suggest this horse can get the distance.
Mm-hmm.
Last time out in the Curlin, you said, it's tiring coming down the stretch. That was also the horse's third career start. And so, first time running without Lasix, first time running against stakes company. So there were plenty of asterisks there.
Restricted.
And yeah, exactly. Get restricted. Yeah. Just for 3-year-olds. And yeah, there was some restricted. Yeah. If you hadn't previously won a graded stakes and things like that. Blinkers are coming on though. This horse is going to be pretty forward as well, along with Bracket Buster, Flavian Pratt up. 6-1, I think this horse has a much better chance at running a bigger race than Magnitude.
I completely agree. I think that we're going to see Strategic Focus and Sovereignty sitting in a pretty similar spot maybe in this race. Maybe Strategic Focus just a little
to the
ahead,
inside,
but I would say Sovereignty right up on this horse's outside with Magnitude and Bracket Buster ahead of these two. That's how I see it playing out. Strategic Focus to me is more interesting than anybody else in this race. I know, I'm leaning towards it, that this horse is probably going to be my underneath play right under Sovereignty. We know that he has the pedigree to get the distance. And I thought that the Curlin was a pretty good race. That's So Sandy horse. That's a talented horse.
Sure.
And Chancellor McPatrick is certainly a talented horse. So
he loves Saratoga.
This horse is right. He does. And this horse, Strategic Focus, he's running up against tougher company than Magnitude, McAfee, any of these other horses. Strategic Focus is the one I think that fits the best in this field besides Sovereignty.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those things where, can he get beat? Yes, we both said he can. How does he get beat gets a little bit more complicated. I think the best chance of him getting beat is Strategic Focus kind of freaks. And 4th career start, and the blinkers are coming on. Maybe this one just needed kind of a race without Lasix and a race, against stakes company. Young ascending horses are always a little bit scary because you don't know where the bottom is on them. You don't know, or said another way, you don't know where their best number is yet. And so that's a horse that could just keep getting better and run a huge race. Do I think that's going to happen? No. But could it happen? Maybe. And so I think that's kind of when you get into the how does he get beat? I think that's more likely than, Magnitude takes him gate to wire.
You know how he gets beat. I'm not trying to be funny because you just brought up pretty excellent points. I'm playing very fair here. It's horse racing. Anything can happen. I think the only way Sovereignty gets beat is if they load him in the gate backwards, blindfolded. That's how the horse gets beat.
Put one of those Charlie Appleby hoods
I'm knocking on wood as I keep talking. You don't want to hype up a horse too much. We know this horse is special. What a treat to be able to see him run in the Travers here in Saratoga. And hopefully he puts on a show for the crowd. That's what everyone wants to see.
Sure.
To me, I don't see the horse getting beat. He breathes different air. Anything could happen. It's horse racing, Strategic Focus. He's a nice horse. I went to go see Sierra Leone the other day, and I actually saw Strategic Focus there before even knowing that he was going to run in the Travers, and he looked he's a big horse.
Yeah.
He's a young horse, inexperienced. I mean, he's definitely a horse that's going to have a pretty bright future.
Yeah.
Do I think that Saturday's the day for him? No, but at 6-1, he's incredibly interesting to use underneath Sovereignty as opposed to Magnitude at 2-1.
Yeah.
That's going to be the probably, you know, the second favorite.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
A lot of people are going to try to beat Sovereignty with Magnitude.
Yes.
I don't think the horse is going to get the 1.25 miles.
No, I don't think so either. And one of the last things I'll say is obviously everybody can see it's only a 5-horse field. It's the smallest Travers field since I believe 1994, if I'm not mistaken. Over the last few years, most of the fields have been 7 or 8 horses. Really, I think going back, I think you'd have to go back to maybe Honor Code and a couple of years back where it was like a 12-horse field, but most of them have been 7 or 8 horses in the field. And here's the thing about the 5-horse field. That shows you how good Sovereignty is, because nobody wants to run against Sovereignty because everybody wants to get their grade 1. Mm-hmm. And suddenly the Pennsylvania Derby's become like the Breeders' Cup for everybody else in the 3-year-old crop.
Absolutely.
Because they realize that's our last chance to get a grade 1 without facing the man. Mm-hmm. And when the man comes to town, everybody's running for second. And, you know, to quote Ric Flair, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And nobody's beating Sovereignty. So,
I mean, I think it says a lot that Baeza is pointing towards
that's
the Pennsylvania
the one.
Derby. That's the one that made sense.
Journalism less so.
Journalism makes complete sense to run in the Pacific Classic.
Against older.
They've never dodged anyone.
Yep. Yeah.
You know,
and he's gone a couple of innings twice. You're right. Never dodged anyone.
Sovereignty might have beat him twice. They're not the type to dodge. They haven't dodged anything this entire year. No. They know that the horse, and they're not. Who are they dodging?
Right.
He's going up against
Nysos and White
Bar. Who are they dodging up there? Journalism's different. It says a lot that Baeza, who did the prep for the Travers,
and ran well
and was all out.
Yeah.
And got smoked.
Yeah. With this horse at about 75%.
Yes, they know.
Not even really being asked. Yeah.
He should walk over the Pennsylvania Derby field is what they're thinking. If he was able to run that good of a race here against Sovereignty, but that's a deep field as well.
Yeah, you got Gosker there, who's pointing there. You got Bob probably sending 1 or 2 horses there in terms of goal-oriented.
That's the other thing that says a lot is that Bob isn't sending one of his horses here. I mean, Mr. Baffert's not really the type to shy away from running his horses against tough company either. That says a lot, and it's no one's fault that Sovereignty is so great that these horses, some of them may have avoided and some maybe didn't. I mean, we don't know the full story, but we can say, I mean, what a great job by the racing office getting these horses in the race. Like, strategic focus definitely adds an interesting layer. Props to Chad for running him in the race, and as well as Magnitude. Excited to see him, obviously. Absolutely. So at least we have a few that showed up and bracket busted.
Yeah, absolutely. And McAfee's a horse, you said it before we started recording, just runs up into things a lot of times. Like that horse just kind of runs. And obviously the half sibling to Torpedo Anna as well. Last year's horse of the year finished second by just that much in the Travers. So has some Travers background as well. Listen, it's going to be a great day on Saturday. It's going to be a great race. And listen, if you think, well, it's a short field, he seems like a cinch. Sure. But like you said, I think it's an opportunity for him to put on a show. And you never want to look away when you have the opportunity to watch greatness. That's what I would just tell you is, the 1973 Belmont was a bit of a walkover as well. I watch it once a week on YouTube. You want to see something special, and I think you might see something special on Saturday.
No, I completely agree. I mean, and if you're upset that Sovereignty's won whatever short price he's going to be, just sit back and watch. Yeah. Because it's a privilege to be able to go and watch horses like this run. I mean, I'm getting emotional just talking about the horse. He's special. So I couldn't be more excited.
100% agree. And by the way, if you're worried about him being too short of a price, the A Challenge Jerkins, you can get a price in that race. All right. That's a really good race.
Crazy fields on Travers Day. If you got,
so many. You can get creative and find prices in the other legs of that grade 1 sequence, with the Forgo, we all love Bookham Dano, but that's still a competitive race. You look at the A Challenge Jerkins, forget about it. The Personal Ensign, your girl Torpedo Anna's running in that one. But you got a lot of great races. The Ballerina, that's going to be a lot of fun with My Main Squeeze and Scylla. So listen, we live in New York bred up here. So listen, it's going to be a lot of fun. But thanks so much for tuning into this very first video for Travers Week. But never fear, there will be many, many more. So press that like and subscribe button today. For Kaylie Shapiro, my name is Matthew DeSantis, wishing you a great and profitable day at the races, and reminding you, friends, it's now post time.